In 2016, I bought my first Fuji camera X-T2 with this 10 to 24 millimeter f4 lens and a 55 to 200 millimeter telephoto zoom lens. And over time, I still enjoyed using this 10 to 24 millimeter f4 lens, but I replaced 55 to 200 millimeter telephoto zoom lens with this 50 to 140 millimeter f2.8 lens. I will talk about the reason just in a minute. So if I want to go out for hiking, for landscape photography, if I want to pack minimum gear, then I will bring this 10 to 24 millimeter with Fuji X-H1 that I currently have, and then this 50 to 140 millimeter telephoto zoom lens. If I want to shoot Milky Way, if I want to do astrophotography, if I want to do anything in low light, then I will bring this Rokinon 12mm f2 small prime lens. And if I want to fill in the gap between 24mm and 50mm, then I will bring this Fuji 35mm f2, which is also a very small prime lens. But I found when shooting landscape photography, most of the time I don't really need this Rokinon 12mm f2 or this Fuji 35mm f2. Most of the time, this 10 to 24mm f4 and the 50 to 140mm f2.8 can cover 99% of what I need. First, let's talk about this 10 to 24mm f4 ultra-wide-angle zoom lens that I currently mounted on my Fuji X-H1. I think this is a highly versatile, a great zoom lens for shooting landscape photography. Before we talk about this lens, I just want to quickly talk about why I didn't get the more professional 8 to 16mm f2.8 lens for Fujifilm. For a couple of reasons. The first reason is I think that lens is too expensive. It costs $2,000. And the second reason is I think it's much bigger and heavier than this little 10 to 24mm f4 lens. And the third reason is although it is a little bit wider on the wide end, it has 8mm, but then I think it loses the focal range between 16mm to 24mm. And I think that focal range is actually important to me. I found I still shoot between 16mm and 24mm. That's why I found this 10 to 24mm lens is super versatile. On the wide angle side, 10mm I think is wide enough for landscape photography, and it goes up to 24mm, which is equivalent to 36mm on full frame. I think this focal range is fantastic because sometimes you don't want to shoot that wide angle, you want to zoom in a little bit, and a 24mm allows you to do just that. Now let's talk about image quality. I have been using this 10 to 24 lens for more than 3 years, and overall I am really happy about the image quality out of this lens. Over the time, I noticed this lens produce very sharp results in the center, and the corners are a little bit soft compared to the center of the frame, especially if you are shooting at the wide angle side. But this doesn't bother me that much because I think the corners are still acceptable, and you would have to do heavy pixel peeping in order to notice the difference. And also I think lighting, subjects, composition matters way much more than corner sharpness. So overall, I'm fine with the image quality out of this 10 to 24mm lens. The build quality of this 10 to 24 is very good. Even though it is a small lens, it still feels very solid in your hand. And the only downside I can think of is it doesn't have weather sealed. So for shooting landscape photography, sometimes I need to shoot during the rain, during the snow. So I actually bought a rain cover for this lens so I can shoot under those situations. Now let's talk about the telephoto lens. When I started with Fuji X-T2, the first telephoto lens I got was Fujifilm 55 to 200mm variable aperture lens. It is a very small, lightweight, compact lens. You can put it in any camera bag, and it is fantastic to hike with due to the lightweight and the small size. But the problem with that lens, according to my personal experience, was that I could get sharp results from focal range between 55mm to 100mm just fine. But I found if I go beyond 100mm, especially if you go up beyond 130 millimeter. And if you are shooting under super windy conditions like Rocky Mountain National Park, sometimes it could be super, super windy. And if you are under that condition and you are shooting with a long focal length, I found I struggled to get sharp results from that lens. It could be me not focusing right. It could be my tripod wasn't stable enough. But anyway, I found I was having a hard time getting sharp photos with that lens. So I replaced that lens with this Fuji 50 to 140 millimeter f2.8 red badge zoom lens. This is supposed to be the professional quality lens that covers 70 to 200 millimeter full frame equivalent. And overall, I enjoy using this lens very much. I think the focusing speed is much faster and it is more accurate compared to the old 55 to 200 millimeter lens. And it comes with a tripod color, which I can mount on the tripod to balance the overall weight. It helps add more stability into the camera setup and helps me to get sharp results with this lens. And it is absolutely sharp throughout the focal range from 50 millimeter to 140 millimeter. It is sharp all the way through edge to edge. That's why I really enjoyed using this lens, even though it is a little bit bigger and heavier compared to 55 to 200 millimeter. But this is still my go-to telephoto zoom lens for shooting landscape photography. With that being said, if you only share your photos online, I think the Fuji 55 to 200 millimeter lens is more than good enough. It can save you some weight and save you some space in the camera bag. Alright guys, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please click on the thumbs up button below. And if you are the first time on my channel, please consider subscribing. And if you are interested in Luminar 4, don't forget you can use the coupon code MING during checkout to save $10. And if you are interested in Capture One, please check out the link in the description below. Alright guys, enjoy photography. Bye for now.